Was sprinkler, meanie.
The first time I heard or even got an inclination of a new lens of looking at things, it took me about 4 months to actually make any connections.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, and I remember sitting there, and I was looking through my notes, and I was just sitting on the chair, and it was like I had these blinders taken off of me. And I look at that, and I go, wow, okay, there's the operations team. Here's their motivations. Here's how they connect to things. That's why they're doing what they're doing. Look at how they're rewarded. Look at how they're compensated. And I would map this out all on my brain, and then I eventually mapped it out just on my own, just mapped it out on a whiteboard, and it just started opening up things on even how to approach people, how to talk to them and see what their motivations are.
Okay.
And it was just like an eye-opening experience. There's an exercise that one of the first exercises that I did, and I do this with teams, and I can do it right here if you want.
Yeah, paper right there.
Yeah. And this goes back to something, I started off, usually I introduce this when there's a couple of different scenarios, but the most common one is when we're stuck in one way of looking at things.
Yeah.
When we're stuck in a sense of saying, okay, I'm the one putting this in, right? This is how I see things. And so this is where what's most important is I'm actually recognizing these situations in the moment rather than on the train going like this. I should have done something. And it really starts where I'll bring somebody, and I've done this with teams, I've done this with executives or individuals.
Try to keep it within the context of Bob, the Scrum Master.
Bob, the Scrum Master. And I say,
let's keep it simple.
Yeah, Bob, the Scrum Master.
Not that it's simple, but it's simpler.
Will this go through the paper if I write?
Just take a couple, and
Yeah.
A couple.
And so I go, at the end of the day, do you remember back when you were in school?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And were you ever asked this question? How did you do
on the exam? That's it?
The exam.
Oh, yeah.
Can I...
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I would say, okay, when we look at this, right, let's look at this as a system, right? In the system, right, we have inputs, right? And we actually have us writing the exam. So I do my best Ellen impersonation. Sorry, Ellen.
Some graphic facilitation here.
Yeah, no.
Some bicablo.
And so I have, we have the person writing it, right? And then we have an output. And what's the output, right? The output is my grade. Okay, so then I'll ask people, okay, what are the inputs? What goes into here? So what I normally get is things like my ability.
Okay, I was going to say the teacher.
Right? Well, I can't ask you these questions because you're a little bit further advanced.
Yeah, you might be surprised.
No. Okay.
Okay.
What? So you say the teacher?
Yeah. That's the first name that came to mind.
Yeah. Okay. What else?
Books.
Books. What about books?
The writings, the subjects in the books.
Yeah. What else?
My dad,
Yeah.
my mom, my friends.
So you've seen this before?
You too. I have not.
Okay.
I don't think I have. If I did, I don't remember.
No.
Unless you did it at the meetup we went to.
I think I might have, but
Okay.
This is something, when we talk about signal versus noise,
Okay.
And outliers. And this is actually the first time anybody's done this approach with me. So this is why I love it. I'm doing this and I'm on camera.
Okay.
But what I normally get 99% of the time is my ability.
Oh, okay.
Right? So when they talk about my ability, they talk about
That makes sense.
my energy when I'm doing that.
Okay.
Right? And then they go, my commitment is another one, right?
Yeah.
And
These are higher level, deeper definitions right there.
right? And they're all inputs.
Than mine, yeah.
But a lot of times they get stuck, usually at this point.
Okay.
So I'll ask questions about, is there any time where a fellow student asked a question and you
Okay.
didn't know that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
comes back to, fellow students.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Was there a time, that your teacher was able to explain themselves and explain themselves easily? Like, so you have the teacher here,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Videos that you've seen, things that you've learned, your how much you love the subject and how much it makes sense to you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, the commitment and energy
Right.
is
The exam format,
also
all
yeah.
this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So what then I'll ask is, well, now that we know that there's a bunch of other things, right? Why did you get stuck at 3?
mm-hmm.
Right? Why? Like, and so this is where
And why?
a lot of times I have to be quiet and let silence.
Work its magic.
Yeah. Sue taught me this, and I'm still working on it, because this is everything that I can control. These are all the things that I have direct power over, right? And usually it's things, these are out of my control.
Wow,
Or less uncertain,
that's so surprising, to be honest with you.
right?
That is so surprising.
And so when
I see so much labeling out there that it's hard to that people identify things within themselves that they can control within themselves.
and it's funny because I did this with a project manager, and when we did this, like she said, parents. So I did, my dad, my mom. She took the pen out of my hand and like erased dad. She's like, no, not that. I was like, well, maybe, but and she took a moment. She goes, wow. She goes, I beat myself up because of all of this, and I wonder why things are not working out when there's all these other things.
Yeah.
And so what we're saying is we're not neglecting the individual here, but we're saying that it can't be done in a vacuum. That it things. And now that we know
there
all
might
this,
be factors outside of the individual.
exactly
Yeah.
that are playing. Now, when we look at this, how differently would you ask this question?
How did the system help you have a high performance on your exam?
Sorry, what was that?
How did the system,
Again, I hate asking you questions.
or what was how did the environment help you perform well on your exam?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, maybe I am too.
No. It's actually you are actually heading down the path where 99% of the time it goes is you start focusing on the word you. It's the last word that we look at.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the question is asked differently, but always using the word you. So now instead of asking how did you do on the exam,
Okay.
we replace the you by we
How did we?
do on the exam.
Okay.
Our grade. Right?
Yeah. So then you're including all kinds of factors.
Including.
Okay.
And this works a lot.
How did we perform? How did we as an organization perform in the sprint?
Yeah. How did we do?
That allows you to view the situation in a slightly different angle.
It's awareness questions. So instead of how
There's
did
a lens for you. Yeah.
how did you do on the proposal? How did we do on the proposal? How, and this tees it up to how. So when you're leading a transformation, when you're putting in, you get how are you doing on the transformation?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's how are we doing on the transformation? And just changing that language has a huge effect on people.
Yeah.
Now I've introduced this within my team where I work,
Yeah.
and I actually call people out when we start using the word.
Just back up the mic a smidgen. Yeah. There you go.
When we start using the word they.
Yeah.
We're not neglecting the individual here. We're just trying, the inclusivity. And it's important that, so the first time I saw this, it made sense, but I didn't know how to apply it. I didn't know how to apply it until, so the first time I saw this was in November. It was the following February. And I went to parent-teacher night.
Okay.
Yeah, which I'm going to 2 nights from now. But and I went to the parent-teacher night.
The teacher's going to be getting those powerful questions.
Well, it was funny because my wife's like, calm down.
Yeah.
But sorry, Jenny, calm down. When we get there, the teacher started talking about, what our daughter wasn't doing well,
Yeah.
And what she needed to work on, right? And I said, well, what are you doing, to help her?
Yeah.
And then I turned, and I didn't know, I was still uneasy about the questioning. And then I thought about this,
Yeah.
and I linked it, and I said, well, what can we do to give her the environment in order for her to perform?
As a community.
What does she need? How do we work together? So then it would just took her a little bit aback,
Yeah.
right? Like, what do you mean? And I go, well, listen, in order for her to succeed, we need to work together. We need to be on the same page. How do we communicate to each other? And then this just started clicking.
Yeah.
Like it clicked.
Yeah.
And it's clicking to the point where like I live this. I got a, when you've been to a company for so long, you get a
watch.
Yeah, watch. But I got money.
Okay.
Like they gave, Visa cards.
Oh, nice.
And
My boss doesn't give me that.
I brought it home and I gave half to Jenny.
Yeah.
And she's like, why are you giving me half? This is yours. I go, no,
It's ours.
it's ours. I can't do this, or I can't
I can't have this money if you're not helping me with the kids. and-
exactly. I can't do this podcast if you don't take the time to do it. Same thing. And so this is then how things started connecting for me. How I started looking at things, just changing my language. So when you talk to a Scrum Master, I think it's the most important is start being aware of your situation.
Yeah.
The awareness is key. Listen to the language. Listen to how people are interacting with each other.